right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to All Things Odd. I'm Dr. Natalie Phillips.
And I'm Whitney Hodges, the audiology resident here.
Awesome. All right. So we are going to do a really fun topic. But before we get there, I'm going to have Whitney just share with you about our YouTube channel.
All right, so right now you're seeing the homepage of our YouTube channel. This is where you can find all the different videos that we have done in the past. Last week we talked about some ear tips. So if you missed that video, go ahead and check it out. Just give some really good advice and tips and tricks on how to take care of your ears during the summer. You can also find some of our older videos. So give it a scroll if you find something that you think is interesting, or if you know of someone else who might find something interesting, go ahead and send it to them, and then make sure that they subscribe. Our videos are just a really good way to stay informed and get some really good knowledge that you might not have ever heard before. So
Yeah.
There's also some really fun pictures as well. So yeah, if you have find anything interesting, go ahead and check it out.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. So, with that, we wanted to share more about what we are going to be talking to you. So, let me just get started here. We are going to cover the Olympics today and start with our two-part series of the Olympics. So, you'll have to tune in for our second part next week. And what we're doing is really focusing on the Olympians that have hearing loss this week. Next week, you'll have to tune into what we're going to be talking about, so you don't want to miss that. So, a fun fact before we get started is that did you know that with the Olympics, there is no restriction on hearing loss or use of hearing aids? And so we thought that was kind of interesting. And we're super excited because obviously the Olympics start tomorrow. So we're really excited about talking about the Olympics and honoring the athletes who actually have hearing loss and kind of just talk about them and introduce you to them. And let me see here if I can get this beautiful screen up here that Whitney had worked on. And so we're going to kind of talk a little bit more about the Olympians. And so we're going to walk you through this. I'm going to start with the first slide here. And again, we're honoring these Olympians who have had a hearing loss. So first of all, did you know, first of all, that there are actually a number of athletes or Olympians that either have a hearing loss or tinnitus that have competed in the Olympic Games? So we're going to kind of go in chronological order. And again, if you have any questions or you're interested in this and you want to learn a little bit more, or you want to share this out because you think it's cool, feel free to share out this show today. And also these beautiful slides that Whitney had worked.
Thanks.
The first person that we're going to honor is Oscar Wetzel, and he is a Finnish diver, and he competed in the Summer Games both in London and in Stockholm. And he had a hearing loss because he contracted influenza at age 2. So yes, you can have hearing loss early on, and he contracted hearing loss from the influenza. So I'm going to have Whitney take over here with the next one.
Yeah. So I try to go into some detail on some of our USA Olympians that we've had in the past, and then some more recent ones. So Jeffrey Float is a swimmer, and I think his last name is so fitting for the sport that he chose to do. But he lost his hearing due to a viral infection of meningitis when he was just over 1 year old. He had a bilateral asymmetric hearing loss. So his hearing was worse in his left ear. And then obviously, when he was competing, he's not able to wear any sort of hearing device. So he talked about how that was, a challenge. And he was actually the first legally deaf athlete to win an Olympic gold medal. So I just think that's so cool. And he actually helped break a world record in a relay team. And I included this little quote he had. He said, "It was the first time I remember distinctly hearing loud cheers during my race at any meet. I'll never forget what 17,000 screaming people sounded like. It was incredible." So I just think that was so cool that, he was able to experience that. So yeah, he did win one gold medal. And then he also competed in another type of Olympic event that we'll be talking about, where he won over 10 gold medals. So
Wow.
yeah, very impressive man.
Very, very cool. So the next person that we'd like to honor is Marie Roethlisberger from the USA, and she was a gymnast, and she suffered hearing loss in one ear from birth. She contracted meningitis during her childhood. Again, another, infection leading to hearing loss in her other ear. She choreographed routines to songs with bass, and so heavy bass. And that's what I think is interesting. We even have a patient who has a cochlear implant that if she watches this, I know you know who we're talking about, that it's you, but she loves music. And the way to actually listen to music is through a lot of bass sounds, because you can feel it more with those bass sounds. The bass sounds carry more weight, and you can feel it versus those higher pitch sounds. So she used vibrations from the music to feel the floor. And she actually earned her MD. So she's a physician in 1996. So she competed in the Olympic Games. She was an alternate in 1984. So I thought that was kind of really interesting about her.
Yeah, I loved learning about like how she accommodated herself with the loud music and the bass. Very, very cool.
Mm-hmm.
So the next athlete we're going to be talking about, and also if you know that there's an athlete that maybe we missed, go ahead and put it in the comments, because I know Dr. Phillips and I would like to learn more about these athletes that have had, hearing loss, maybe tinnitus or balance issues. So go ahead and put that in the comments below. But Tamika is actually a part of the USA women's basketball team. She was born with a bilateral hearing loss, and she began using hearing devices at a really young age. I've included the article that she did with ESPN, but she actually talks about how she would get so frustrated as a child, and she was made fun of for having a hearing loss, that she eventually just threw out her hearing aids. And so her parents, made her work, and through, resilience and, just confident, she began to just accept her hearing loss for what it is. She has said that her hearing loss has actually improved her skills as a basketball player, because she's really keened in to hand signals, body language, things like that. So she actually attributes that to giving her an edge on the court. She's been in a lot of Olympic games, as you can see, from 2004 through 2016, and she won gold medals at each of those events. So that's cool. And then a quote she had said through that ESPN article was, "It's important for those of us who go through impairments, disabilities, and issues to reach out and help others. I'm all about helping our youth to catch their dreams one star at a time." And I think that's so cool. Many kids who have hearing loss, they may not be aware that there are some amazing role models that they can look up to, especially with Olympic athletes. And it just shows that no matter, your hearing loss, if you are passionate about something, you can still go for it.
I love that. And both Whitney and I are huge basketball fans. So we sit around and talk about the Nuggets and, the playoffs, and we have all these conversations about basketball. So like we could easily just sit around and talk about basketball on this show. And maybe we'll do one of those shows too. So I was just thinking about it as you were just sharing about Tamika, just thinking about some of the things that she might have been thinking about. Like I know a couple of athletes who have had hearing loss, and think about, the sweat, the moisture that builds up. Maybe if it goes out, or if your battery's not working, or whatever it is, how frustrating that can be. Think about how when one sense also goes, like how keen you are to other senses. So like even on a basketball court, as you were sharing, Whitney, I was thinking about her just getting, like you said, getting better at other things and seeing the court better. Maybe like a small little nuance of somebody cutting or doing something, she can pick up a lot faster than people that do have hearing as well. I mean, obviously, you can't hear them call wolf behind your ear.
Right.
But at the same time, there might be something different that her teammates or coaches do something different to alert her. But just kind of thinking about some of the different things that she probably is a lot better at, some of the people that do have hearing playing basketball, and then also some of the frustrations that she must have had with wearing hearing aids while playing. I mean, can you imagine just all of that, or just all that contact in a sport like basketball as well. And maybe her hearing aids have fallen out before or whatever. So it's really kind of interesting thinking about what they've gone through and what they've had to overcome, but then also some of the really cool things that they're probably way better at than some of us that, hit the court. So I love that. That was super interesting. All right. The next person we have is Chris Colwell. He is for the USA, and he's a diver. And he was born with bilateral hearing loss, or hearing loss for both ears. He uses hearing aids, learned sign language in college, and relies on the scoreboard to know when it is his turn to dive, which I'm sure a lot of people, do as well, in addition to hearing overhead when you're up on deck or whatever it is. But again, like listening and learning about this person, utilizing hearing aids, well, he is a diver. So like, you can't wear your hearing aids. Well, technically, okay, I'll say technically, because you can't really wear your hearing aids while you're swimming, versus like with Tamika in basketball, it's possible that you could be wearing it even through the sweat and the warmth indoors. But, I do have to say technically, because there are hearing aids that are a little more now waterproof, not water resistant. There are things on hearing aids that are really cool where they have an oleophobic coating, as well as a hydrophobic coating on different parts of the circuitry. So technically, it repels water and it repels oil. Back in the day, I'm sure when Chris was growing up, there wasn't that oleophobic and that hydrophobic coating on circuitry and microphones and receivers and all that type of thing. However, there were waterproof hearing aids where you could actually take the hearing aid, and they did this at a conference, literally dunk the hearing aid in a glass of water and then pull it out, and everything would be still working pretty well. And so those have come out, I would say, I don't even know how long, maybe 15 years ago or so. So it's possible he could, but as a diver, right? I mean, I don't think you would wear your hearing aids even if they were waterproof, because of the distance and the impact, right?
Pressure.
Yeah, and the pressure. So it's interesting to think about what these people have gone through with hearing loss and wearing hearing aids. So he participated in the Olympic Games, both in Beijing and London. And his quote here that we have shared is, "At the time, I was afraid to admit that I had a hearing loss because I didn't want to show a sign of weakness. There are some disadvantages, but nothing that can truly stop me." So as a true Olympian and athlete, he has learned to overcome and actually be inspirational about that this isn't a weakness, and embrace it and really inspire others that nothing can stop you no matter what. So I absolutely love that one as well. All right.
All right, so this is David Smith, and he plays volleyball, and Dr. Phillips spends a lot of her time at volleyball matches. So he has a very profound hearing loss. Bilaterally, he does wear hearing aids, and I was trying to find, if you Google him, you can find some pictures of him on the court, and you can see his ear molds, because he has such a great amount of hearing loss that he does need to wear a full mold in order to help keep that sound. He's been wearing them since he was a toddler. He states that he does rely a lot on lip reading, especially while he's on the court. And he is a middle hitter. So you really, when you're playing middle, you really have to make sure that you're keyed into, what's my setter doing? What's this person I need to make sure I get a block. You're not always hearing someone call mine. So having to make sure that you're, really prepared. He was in the Olympic Games in London, Rio, and Tokyo. So last Olympics that we had that was held in 2021. He had a really great article, and it's saved in the notes as well. But he said that I'm the only one that can hold me back from doing what I want to do. If I want to do something, there is a way to do it. I might have to take a different route, but if I truly have a passion for it, it's on my shoulders to be able to find a way to make it happen. So I just thought that like it gave me chills, because I feel like all these Olympians just have such a cool, like, they're like, yes, I have this, but I'm not going to let that stop me. Like, I have a passion, and it might, I might have to take a few more steps, make some adjustments, but if it's something I want, like, I'm going to go for it. So I just thought that was really cool. And he has won a bronze medal.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially like when you said that he was a middle, like even though I'm only 5'6", in Hawaii, I was tall. So when I played volleyball, I was a middle. And I always got stuck up against the net because I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm out. Like, don't set me, because by the time I came down from a block, it was like I had to hustle back. So just thinking about, his spatial awareness, and he was probably a lot faster than I was, because I am not an Olympian. But, just being in the middle and things are coming from both sides and you're watching a lot of different things, I can only imagine how difficult that could have been. However, I do also think that it must have been nice, because in volleyball, you do call a lot, like the setters do call a lot of plays, or you look over to your coach and they're calling where to serve or whatever it is. And so a lot of hand movements, a lot of hand gestures for the communication of how you actually play the game, which is kind of cool. I do have to say too that our friend has joined us, Dr. Amit Gozalia from West Valley Hearing Center out in California. So thank you for tuning in. I just wanted to say hello. But yeah, so we are just talking about, if you're just joining in, this is the first part of a 2-part series that we're going to be covering because the Olympics start tomorrow. And so we thought we'd honor some Olympians who have hearing loss. And then next week, we have a second part that we're going to talk about. We're not going to tell you, so you're going to have to come back and hear our second part of this, just honoring of athletes that have hearing loss. So again, here is Dr. Gozalia giving us the hands up. So awesome to see you. Okay, so we are going to go on to our next person, Amy Purdy. So I'm super glad that I get to introduce her, because, Amy Purdy, I'm in a group called the National Charity League, and we have an annual tea with mothers and daughters. And so Amy Purdy was actually the speaker, and I learned so much about her and have been so amazed, sad about what happened to her with her bacterial meningitis and how it happened, but also what an inspirational woman. And so for those of you who have heard of her, you might have seen her on Dancing with the Stars, but she is actually an Olympian and a snowboarder. And so she contracted bacterial meningitis at age 19, and it was pretty severe for her. And as a result, she lost her hearing in her left ear. She also had to amputate her legs below the knees. So she lost her legs as well, or below the knees, and also her spleen and kidneys. And so that's huge. But look, she still competed in the Paralympics in both Sochi and Pyeongchang. Hopefully I said that right. And it looks like she won the silver and the bronze. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And her quote is, "If my life was a book and I was the author of that book, how would I want that story to go?" So it's a question, right, that we're sharing. And if you have ever, I'm sure you can Google her, or kind of watch some of her keynotes, or maybe some of the things on her actual page, because you can book her as a speaker. But listen to some of the things that she's gone through and what she's overcome, and what she is dedicated to really sharing with other people, how to overcome whatever it is that you're going through, right? And how you write your own story to what you're going through. I love that this is the quote that you chose, Whitney, because she is super inspirational. She had so many things happen to her, but man, if you even watch her dance, like Google her with Dancing with the Stars, and you will be amazed.
That's amazing. She's amazing. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I'm glad that you put her in here as well. So with that, we're going to put up one last slide here. We did get a lot of information from Wikipedia. And again, we've got some different resources that Whitney had worked really hard on, really spending some time getting to know some of these deaf Olympians. And we definitely want to cover a few more or a few other Olympians as we celebrate the Olympics starting tomorrow. So hopefully you will tune in, cheer for the USA or whatever country you're tuning in from.
Yes.
It's going to be excited. I don't know, what's the thing that you're looking forward to, Whitney?
Well, so I love both of the Olympics, and it kind of becomes my personality when they're on. I do love watching the summer because I love watching the swimming. I really like beach volleyball. And then gymnastics are probably my like favorite ones. I remember watching Shawn Johnson and Michael Phelps. I actually got to go to Olympic trials. I want to say it was like 2016, and I got to see Michael Phelps, Katie Ledecky, Ryan Lochte swim. And so I love watching, I don't know, it's just amazing watching how hard these people have like worked and just being able to showcase their talent. And then, seeing all the countries of the world, there's a lot that goes on in our world, but seeing everyone come together in like one place and be, united on this like love of sport and teamwork. I just think that's so cool.
Yep. Competitiveness, but also representing your country is what I like to watch as well.
Yeah.
So I typically like to watch gymnastics. Obviously, basketball is kind of fun to watch. It's interesting to see some of the professionals in the NBA go to represent their countries. I'm super excited because a former CSU player is going to be playing for Puerto Rico. So shout out to Gian Clavel from Colorado State University here. And I'm super excited because he's going to represent Puerto Rico. And so I'm super excited to kind of watch a lot of basketball as well and kind of watch some of the athletes. So yeah, super exciting. So thank Whitney for all the hard work that she did in the slideshow to honor some of the athletes that do have a hearing loss and what they've overcome, and to share, even watching some of the different medals that they have received and in their competition. And you'll definitely want to tune in next week because we're going to have part 2. So watch the Olympics, cheer for your country, and we will be back next week. So we'll see you then.
See you guys.
Bye.